Picture this. It's the 1920s. Jazz is booming, flapper dresses are all the rage, and alcohol banned. Yes, the United States decided to go completely dry, thinking it would solve all their problems. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Instead, they got secret bars, gang wars, and drinks so questionable they came with a side of blindness. And the best part? It lasted 13 years. So grab a legal drink and let's dive into the Prohibition era, the government's most spectacularly failed experiment. In 1920, the United States passed the 18th Amendment, banning the manufacture, sale, and transportation of alcohol. Their reasoning: alcohol was blamed for everything from crime to bad dancing. Politicians imagined a sober utopia where families thrived, men worked harder, and absolutely nobody missed their after-work drink. But reality hit harder than a hangover. Instead of solving problems, Prohibition created new ones. Bootleggers popped up everywhere. Pharmacists suddenly became whiskey specialists, and church wine was labeled essential. Who knew you could cure a headache and get a blessing with one sip? And the loopholes didn't stop there. Farmers were encouraged to make great bricks, which came with instructions that said, "Don't let this sit in water for 21 days or it will turn into wine." Subtle, right? Fast forward to today, and you'll find echoes of Prohibition in debates about drug legalization, vaping restrictions, or even online gambling. Just like back then, banning something rarely erases the demand. It just pushes it underground. Think of how black markets thrive on scarcity. It's a story as old as time. And then came the speakeasies, those hidden bars that were, well, not so hidden. By the late 1920s, New York City had over 30,000 speakeasies. To put that in perspective, that's more than Starbucks today. And just like Starbucks, you needed a password to get in. Instead of saying, "I'll have a grande latte," you'd say something like, "I'm here for the teacup special." Once inside, it was all jazz dancing and questionable cocktails served in anything but a glass. Some owners even hired doormen dressed as priests to bless customers as they entered, because nothing says innocent like a man in a robe handing you gin. One legendary speakeasy in Chicago was hidden behind a fake flower shop. You'd walk in, ask for a bouquet of roses, and suddenly find yourself in a smoky jazz club. Another one. It was disguised as a pet store, because what's less suspicious than someone buying a parrot at midnight? And if you're thinking secret venues are a thing of the past, think again. Modern-day speakeasies still exist, often hidden behind laundromats or disguised as vintage bookstores. The difference? They're now trendy spots for Instagram photos, not illegal cocktails. Now let's talk gangsters. Prohibition turned the mob into millionaires. Al Capone, the poster child of organized crime, made over $100 million a year smuggling booze. That's 1920s money, folks. Basically Jeff Bezos with a Tommy gun. But it wasn't just Capone. Bootleggers and smugglers thrived across the country. In Detroit, they smuggled alcohol from Canada so efficiently, you'd think they invented Amazon Prime. And let's not forget about the rum runners, who used fast boats to outsmart the Coast Guard. Imagine Fast and Furious, but with less nitrous and more rum. Interestingly, Prohibition wasn't just the golden age of mobsters. It was the birthplace of entire industries. Take the booming craft beer and artisanal liquor markets today. It's ironic, isn't it? The same society that once banned alcohol now celebrates it with brewery tours and mixology classes. For those who couldn't access speakeasies or gangster liquor, there was homemade booze, bathtub gin and moonshine. And yes, people literally made gin in bathtubs. Recipe, alcohol, juniper berries, and a healthy dose of bad decisions. Then there was moonshine, lovingly nicknamed White Lightning. It was so strong it could strip paint, or your dignity. One infamous batch even contained wood alcohol, leaving people blind, or worse. Talk about a drink that takes the phrase, "you won't see this coming," to a whole new level. Today, you'd think we'd learned our lesson, but DIY trends live on. Whether it's homemade kombucha or questionable TikTok food hacks, people still love experimenting in their kitchens. Let's just hope none of them involve blindness. Meanwhile, the government tried to crack down, but enforcement was, let's say, less than effective. They hired prohibition agents, but most were either bribed or too slow to catch bootleggers. Bootleggers, by the way, were driving souped-up cars and inventing the first getaway vehicle. Yes, NASCAR owes its existence to moonshine smugglers. And then there was the infamous poison alcohol plan. The government deliberately tainted industrial alcohol to make it undrinkable. Did it stop people? Nope. People drank it anyway. Thousands died, proving that sometimes the government's cure is worse than the disease. If you think government policies today are sometimes overreaching, just remember the poison alcohol plan. It's a chilling reminder that even well-intentioned laws can backfire spectacularly. Makes you wonder, what modern policies will future generations shake their heads at? Here's a fun twist. Women were key players in Prohibition. Groups like the Women's Christian Temperance Union pushed for the alcohol ban, arguing it would save families. But by the 1930s, many of these same women were leading the charge to end it. Why? Because Prohibition had turned their peaceful neighborhoods into gangster playgrounds. Guess that wasn't part of the plan. And let's not forget women who became infamous during this time. There was the infamous Queen of the Bootleggers, Estelle the Countess MacDonald, who turned speakeasies into a sophisticated underground business, ensuring ladies had their cocktail hour, whether the law liked it or not. And just when you think smugglers couldn't get any more creative, enter the wildest ideas. One man disguised his alcohol operation as a milk delivery service, using bottles labeled fresh cream. Another packed booze inside coffins, claiming he was transporting the dearly departed. Nothing suspicious about a truck full of funeral supplies headed to a party. Even more shocking, smugglers sometimes bribed entire police stations to guard their shipments. Imagine the cops themselves waving your truck through a checkpoint while sipping your latest batch of whiskey. You've got to admire the hustle. While Prohibition tried to kill alcohol, it accidentally gave birth to something else, a cultural revolution. Jazz became the soundtrack of rebellion, and speakeasies became the ultimate hotspots for cutting-edge fashion. Flapper dresses, bobbed haircuts, and bold makeup all symbolized a generation that refused to stay dry in spirit. And let's not forget the Charleston, a dance so wild that some cities tried to ban it too. Imagine banning booze and dancing. What's next? Fun. Clearly, the Roaring Twenties roared for a reason. While America was busy banning booze, the rest of the world couldn't stop laughing or profiting. Canada, for instance, became one of the biggest suppliers of illegal alcohol to the US, turning border towns into thriving hubs of import-export businesses. Smugglers even built secret tunnels under the border. That's right. Before Netflix made shows about drug tunnels, Canada was ahead of the curve. And then there was Europe. In France, they joked that Americans had banned wine because they didn't know how to drink it properly. Germany, meanwhile, continued its beer festivals without interruption, probably toasting every day to their better decisions. And Mexico. Border towns like Tijuana turned into American playgrounds, complete with bars, casinos, and questionable decisions. It was like Las Vegas before Vegas existed, proving that even bad policies can create great vacations. By the late 1920s, Prohibition was a national joke. Crime rates soared, alcohol consumption barely dropped, and everyone knew someone who knew someone with the good stuff. The 21st Amendment finally repealed Prohibition in 1933, and America collectively said, "Cheers." But let's not forget the legacy. Prohibition gave us organized crime, the modern cocktail, and endless stories for Hollywood. It's a reminder that banning something people love rarely works. It just makes them love it more and get really creative. So, what do you think? If you lived during Prohibition, would you have been a rule follower or a rum runner? Let us know in the comments below. And while we're at it, let's take a moment to appreciate that Prohibition never banned coffee. Imagine a world where your morning cup of caffeine was outlawed. Let's be honest, we'd all be smuggling espresso beans in no time. Also, let's be real. Today we're more likely to see laws banning TikTok or limiting social media time than banning booze again. But honestly, that would probably turn into an underground rebellion too. Thanks for watching, and remember, history is best enjoyed responsibly and with a side of humor. Cheers.